Last week on this program, sitting right over here, we had Matt Mitrione, our old pal Meathead. And he was talking about his future. He was talking about a whole bunch of stuff, and it appeared as though all of you really enjoyed it. Y'all must have forgot Matt Mitrione used to be on this show on a weekly basis with his Mitrione Minute, and then Big Sexy ruined it for everyone. But anyway, he's back for his second straight week, and this time, Matt Mitrione has got some news. There he is.
What up, baby?
Matt Mitrione. How are you, sir? Good to see you as always. Everything good over there in Indianapolis?
Dude, in West Lafayette, Indiana, yes, sir.
Yes.
But, dude, everything's great, brother. I've got no complaints. I'm a really happy man right now. Everything's good, brother.
So was that insulting on my part, calling West Lafayette Indianapolis? Is that not all the same thing?
I believe that we deserve our own reputation.
Sure.
You know, we're Purdue University. You know what I'm saying? I think we're doing all right.
Fair enough. It's a typical New Yorker type of thing, just to lump them all together, right?
You know, it's like the same thing for anybody from Illinois, that if you're not from Chicago, you're from down south. I mean, it's just how it is. We're used to it.
Okay.
We're the stepchild.
Okay, so this is it. I just laid it out. You were on this show last week. You got a tremendous amount of response. Isn't it funny that people were like, "Oh, you guys are so good together"? I used to come on the show every week back in the day. They obviously forgot a lot of Johnny-come-latelys.
I for sure. I missed a minute. Actually, I was starting to write a minute for today.
Please don't do that. Maybe it's
I was like, you know what? May not be the best decision for right now.
Yes. Okay, so the floor is yours. You were a free agent. You talked about the process last week, but now I understand you have some news. So the floor is yours. Matt Mitrione, what do you have to say?
After a lovely free agency period, I decided I'm going to go to Bellator. I was really interested in the options that Bellator was offering, and I was really interested in the conversation that they were willing to have. And I think that I think that they're making the right moves, and I think that sometimes you get into a spot where the things you fall in love with one organization don't necessarily seem to be anymore, and greener pastures might be somewhere else. And I think that Bellator sang a really nice song. It's like, hey, look, just slow it, a little quiet over there, buddy. But I think that you can get into a spot where that you're looking for more opportunities, other avenues of professionalism, and I think that's what I got with Bellator. I'm really excited about it.
So it's official. You have put pen to paper. You are officially a member of the Bellator roster.
I am.
Wow.
I am officially a member of the Bellator roster. And as a matter of fact, I am actually going to send out my first highly aggressive tweet.
Oh, God.
To that mentioning Bellator. Probably as we speak. I might as well send it right now.
Okay.
So
what are you going to send?
I saw one last night, and I thought it was quite funny, actually. And so I'm going to respond to it. I just couldn't. I wrote it last night. I was like, ooh, don't send it yet.
What is it? Can you give me a preview?
We'll see it in a second, little buddy. I'm just about to tweet it right now.
Well, I
have it written. I wrote it last night and just didn't send it.
I can't check my Twitter and interview at the same time. All right, so I will check that out in a minute.
Boom. Just got
there it is.
Guy.
Gosh,
that's the beauty of cyber technology right there, buddy.
They brought me in for exciting fights and ratings. You provide neither. You get other dudes pregnant. Get your game up. Tony Johnson Jr. How about that?
There you go.
Look at you talking smack already.
Tweeted me, said, hey, like I want to fight Mitrione. Like, stop, dude. If I ran out of sleeping pills, I'd go ahead and grab you.
You're already talking smack before you even announce where you're going, or at least acknowledge it. You're talking smack to the guys there. I like it. Way to make a good first impression.
How it works, buddy.
So last week you said you got a really good offer. You were waiting for the UFC to provide some kind of counteroffer. Did they even provide one?
No, they didn't, which, I'm really happy about. And I'll tell you, there's a set of parameters here that I was, like I said, man, I have no axe to grind with the UFC at all. I don't think that some of the things that happened, especially with like the sponsor and everything else, were handled as well as they should have been. And I voiced that opinion directly to Lorenzo, and I told Lorenzo my thoughts on it and how to make it better. And it just wasn't the conversation that I was hoping it would go. But I don't think that had a reason in them not offering me something else. I think that they know I have a value. But I think that so one of the things when I was in New York last week, the reason why I was out there, and let me say this also as a precursor to this, is that my audition had absolutely nothing to do nothing at all with me going to Bellator. Nothing whatsoever. It was completely side. It was brought to me by an outside company that had absolutely no idea I was even in talks with Bellator. So I'm in talks with Bellator, and they're going pretty well. And then I get a phone call from, remember our good friend, you were just talking about Ottawa, my good friend Jesse Palmer, who I used to play with the Giants on. I've been to Ottawa, on his golf outing and everything else. For those of you guys that don't know, Jesse Palmer was on The Bachelor. He was a quarterback for the New York Giants for a handful of years. He's now on College Football Game Day, some other stuff. Jesse's a friend of mine. I told him I was interested in some form of talking head career when I got done fighting. He put me in touch with his guy named Reed Bergman, who owns Playbook Inc., who was affiliated with Scott Boras for a long time and a handful of other massive contracts and work. So Reed split off, started his own company called Playbook Inc. One of those days, shortly after I started talking to Bellator, his VP of client development named Kristen emailed me and was like, hey, we have an opportunity that just came up. I think it might be a good opportunity for you. So then they threw my name around. I got asked to come in for an audition, and that's the reason why I was out in New York. So it's just not something that Bellator offered me to help sweeten the pie up. But I ended up landing. I do now officially have that job for Bellator, announcing for Bellator Kickboxing.
What?
For the commentary position. Yeah.
Wow, congrats.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy about that. And that's something I've been wanting to do forever.
That's amazing. So you're going to be, that show April 16th in Italy, you're going to be doing that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir, I will.
Well, who's play-by-play?
I'm not sure who's going to do play-by-play yet.
Okay.
But I know they brought in, I think, 7 other dudes for auditions for color commentary, and I won that spot out of the auditions.
Look at you.
I'm fancy. But see, if the UFC had matched my offer, then I would not, and if I chose to stay with the UFC, I would obviously not have had the job with Bellator.
Right.
And this is something that I wanted to do all my life. So the fact that Bellator is owned by Viacom and can do something like this, even though they're totally separate entities, is massive. And that's something I've been waiting for. And with my contract, Bellator, I signed a multi-fight deal, and every fight is guaranteed 6 figures. I can't argue that.
Have you ever had a deal like that before in the UFC?
No, I have not.
Wow.
I'm making more than double than what the UFC offered me for show and win. So that's a great spot to be in. I'm extremely happy. And like I said, man, it was the conversation as far as how everything went was spectacular, man. And they were honest, they were very upfront. And they know that I tell the UFC all the time that I'm down to fight whenever. I'm DTF, baby. DTF.
Yes.
And I'm always like a short notice fight. I'm like, look, I'll fly across the world and fight Ben Rothwell again on 11 days notice. Cool, let me do that. That was one of the conversations I had with Mike Hogan was, look, dude, I want to stay as active as possible and get in and grind. And so I'll be fighting very, very soon. Don't exactly know the date yet, but they know that I'm actively looking to get in there and get working and start earning my keep.
Have they talked to you about any opponents, any cards, things like that? Has that been discussed yet?
Nothing yet. I think that they're still trying to find out my place and who wants to fight and get down. But I think that any type of notice, I'm always down to go hard. So it's a great spot. Had some stuff in my life, recently that was a little bit stressful, a little bit anxiety ridden. And it seems like everything else is really starting to take off and be great.
Is there a chance you get an immediate title shot? Because let's be honest, that division could use a bit of a shakeup.
I guess there probably is. I don't know who they would want to offer. I've done my homework. I know that Vitaly Minakov is their title holder. Yep. But from what I understand, he kind of has a preference to fight in Russia. Yeah. And I think that there's some kind of issues going on with how they do whatever. Or how he's handling his Bellator contract or what they're trying to do or something. I don't know. But and that's just from reading Wikipedia on him. But as far as I'm concerned, I mean, if that's the offer that's got to be made, let's go hard, man. I'm only trying to get my name in the paper and get paid. That's it.
So this is interesting because, everyone okay over there?
There's my text messages coming through.
Jeez. This is interesting because all you knew as far as MMA is concerned was the UFC. Came on to the Ultimate Fighter.
People asking for interviews right now.
Look at you.
You're hit, buddy. You're hit.
What do you mean, asking for interviews while you're doing an interview? I mean, how disrespectful is that? For God's sake.
I don't know.
These MMA guys. All you knew was the UFC. you were on The Ultimate Fighter, the highest rated season. You come in, especially as essentially as a rookie, and you have a nice run in the UFC, but it ends on a sour note for you, as we discussed last week with the eye poke and Travis Brown, all that stuff. Was there any part of you that was like, man, I don't want to go out like this. I don't want my UFC run to end like this? Or was the offer just too good? And at this point, I mean, you got to make money, you have a family, all that stuff. You don't really care about that.
No, I definitely, like I told you last week, I've got unfinished business, and like now I have personal feelings against Travis, and that's the fight that I wanted to get down, and it's unfortunate, and I'm sure we'll cross paths sooner or later, and maybe a Khabib Nate Diaz thing where we're scrapping in a parking lot somewhere, you never know, but hopefully not.
Yes.
But I only fight when I get paid for it, but it doesn't look like he and I will have a chance to match up again. But I just think that I definitely have a sour taste in my mouth.
Wow. So here we are in Bellator. That's amazing. How many fights on the contract? Can you tell us that?
Yeah, it's a 4-fight deal.
Do you think that this is it for you? Do you feel like you're only going to fight for 4 fights, or are you planning on sticking around for a while?
Dude, I may be 37, but I'm young and spry for all the mileage on my tread, So as long as somebody wants me to go hard, and it's still a reputable organization where the checks don't bounce, whether that be for Bellator or the UFC or for Ryzen and I fight Fedor. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. I enjoy what I do, and the moment I don't enjoy it anymore is the moment I'll get out.
What about?
Like I said, my stipulations were I need to get paid what I'm worth, and I think that with some clauses in the contract and with the money I'm guaranteed in, we're definitely having a conversation there.
What would have happened if Bellator wasn't as aggressive as they have been as far as free agents are concerned? UFC offered you what they offered. Would you have just re-signed with UFC, or was there a chance that you would have walked away from the sport?
With what the UFC offered me?
Yeah, if there was only really one option out there for you.
I would have I would have countered with. Excuse me. I would have countered with a couple of incentive-laden contracts or performance-laden contracts.
Yeah.
And if they would have said no, then I would have walked away.
Interesting. And your old friend Kimbo is there, of course, in Bellator. Although some bad news for him as of late. And they're sort of living a double life with fights like that. And then you have guys like you now and Benson Henderson, Darren Caldwell looking so good. They've got some legitimate great fighters. Are you hoping that these new signings and whatnot will get Bellator away from those kind of freaky fights, or do you think that there is a place for that as well?
Man, that's what's great about that is that even though I'm getting paid more, it's still way above my pay grade. I don't need to worry about
Very well
things,
said. Right? Well said.
All I got to worry about is bumping my gums and backing it up when I come out there and throw hands. That's all. That's all I know how to do, brother. Maybe give an opinion or two every once in a while, but that's about it.
So do you have a dream scenario for your debut? A dream fight?
Yeah, man, I would love to be able to fight on the card that Benson's fighting on. I think that'd be awesome. I think that'd be great. I'd love to do it. I don't know who's available in the heavyweight division right now, but I think it'd be a great time. I think that there's, I think that it's a whole new world, man. Yeah. I don't know how Bellator works up behind the scenes. I haven't seen anything that they do as far as behind the scenes stuff. So I'm interested to see how it works. I don't know if they have a show. When does Benson fight?
Well, this is an interesting thing because you said you're going to be working in Italy, right, for that kickboxing show. That's April 16th. Benson's fighting, I believe, April 22nd. So that's 6 days later. Could you do that? In Uncasville. You could do that?
I mean, if I need to, I'll fly Henry with me, to go to Italy and make sure he gets some training. Or or Henry will know some people that are over in Europe across the pond. I can bring on over and I can get work during that week.
Okay, not to be a Debbie Downer here, but Rashad Evans fighting April 16th, and isn't Henry his coach as well?
Henry is his coach, so I guess that means that there's somebody else. I'll call whoever Henry says, hey, look, this is the guy you want to work with.
Yeah.
If Daniel Guita's over there working, I'll call up Daniel Guita and see if I can learn something from him and get some time in.
How comfortable do you feel calling and analyzing kickboxing fights?
I feel that I've been a student of the game, and I study a very heavy amount with Henry, quite a bit, and so I think that I'm prepared enough, and I think that that's another thing is that I'm a color guy.
Yeah.
I don't need to be necessarily a play-by-play guy. I need to know depth. I need to know information. I need to know, interesting information about the people that are going at it and their histories and their backgrounds. And I think I can learn on the fly. I mean, I'm no Joe Buck, but sure. I have aspirations and I have desires to get there.
Did you enjoy the process of being a free agent?
I did. I thought it was really interesting to have an ability or the opportunity to monetize your worth as far as like performance. That's a really interesting perspective, you know. And like it's very humbling because you have to look at who's doing what, how they're doing it, what they get paid, what your results versus their results are, and it's a very mathematical process. You know, it's like, okay, look, this is here and this makes more sense and this is how I feel I want, but this is more than what I'm worth here, you know, or I'm worth more than this. I know that for sure. And this is the way I know that. So it's an interesting situation. And, you know, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it mostly because it was a means to an end and it was a brand new start. And that's what I'm excited about.
Are you also excited about the fact that you can now get sponsors, your own sponsors?
Dude,
is that a game changer?
Massive role.
Yeah.
Massive role, man. Yeah. Like the fact that I'm on, and that's another thing too, you got to remember, it's very difficult now to monetize the name that we built for ourselves in the UFC. So it's very difficult to do that, right? So that's one thing. So if you're Cowboy or if you're Ronda or if you're Conor, you know, there's one thing, even Misha now, right? So like, and Misha and Cowboy are money. They're incredible characters. You know, it was difficult to do that. And especially if you have a small mom and pop shop that wants to throw you $5, $6, $7,000, well, they're not going to get their money out of it most of the time because they're not going to take out a print ad or something else. So now we can go start from square one. I can go back to, you know, to Wingstop, who sponsored me forever. I can go back to Rat Protein. You know, I can go back to a handful of other places that have, you know, been very involved in my life. DNR Market, even though it's a small mom and pop shop for like barbecue, dude, they've treated me so well over the years. I can finally start to put them back on my shoulders and say, hey, man, thanks a lot for the opportunity and believing in me. It means a lot.
Throughout this process, did you have any conversations with Scott Coker?
I have not communicated with Mitch Coker whatsoever.
Wow,
not yet.
That's interesting. So all through Mike Hogan, a great guy, I might add, but I'm surprised not one conversation with Coker.
Not yet. And then we worked with a little bit with Rich Choi.
Okay,
Rich
Chow. Yeah, you got to get your new boss's name right here. I mean, really. So I'm assuming that was matchmaking stuff, right?
No. It was just straight contract stuff right now. Negotiations, contracts, moving forward. I have not had a matchmaking conversation yet.
Okay. Anything I feel compelled to ask? Anything change as far as the grievance in Massachusetts is concerned, or it's still early April, business as usual since last week?
Same thing. Still business as usual. They couldn't get the link to work, the download to work, so they emailed off or they mailed off a physical copy of the DVD so they can take a peek at it. But there's been no change at all.
How would you describe your mood right now? Just everything. I mean, this is a big deal. You know, you sign this new contract, new chapter in your life, new challenges, new organization. I mean, how do you feel on this Monday? It's now off your chest. You're free to talk to the world about it. What's it like? Put us in your shoes right here.
You know, it's just a great feeling. It's a feeling that you know, it's a great feeling to know you're wanted. It's a great feeling to know there's a rival organization that's willing to pay you, you know, what you're worth or close to what you're worth, or even more than what you're worth, because they're building something here and they know that you're a key element in what you're doing. So it's a great feeling of validation for sure. But I think more than even the validation aspect, it's a feeling that no matter what you do now, if you're a fighter, you're a man with options. That's the best part about it. And in the NFL, it's common knowledge in the locker rooms that the most dangerous person in the world is a man with options. So you start treating somebody wrong, hey, I'm about to start looking around. Same thing in a relationship, right? Like things go haywire, things don't work out the way you want them to, whatever else. Somebody starts, you know, snapping or tripping about way too much and make things miserable. You better slow it down, otherwise I'm going to go to the neighborhood bar and pick up Sally, you know, and that's the way that things kind of work. And that's kind of a backwards interpretation of what happened.
Yes. By the way, I see your finger over there, and it's freaking me out again. It's just like flapping in my face. Oh gosh. I remember.
If you would have heard the stories about this thing in college, you would not believe it.
No, thank you. I remember I was on a radio show the night before UFC 137, the night before you fought Czech Congo in Las Vegas, and I said I'm going to go out, and I haven't done this since. I'm going to go out on a limb and tell you that in 1 year's time, a year from now, Matt Mitrione will be the UFC heavyweight champion. Czech Congo derailed those plans. And I think I told you this. You were supposed to give me a shout out after that win. Remember MMA Hour? That was our big break, but it never happened. I want to see that Congo fight again. I don't care how bad it was the first time. I want to see that rematch. That's the fight I want to see in your debut in Bellator. What do you think of that?
I'll tell you what, I appreciate that. It's interesting because all they want to do is fight. You see, all he wants to do is pick up a paycheck, and it doesn't seem like there's a real interest in getting down and earning his money anymore. And like I tweeted, old boy, like I was brought here for exciting fights and ratings. So if you want to get down, go hard, whether it's grappling or whatever else, awesome. Don't wall install me. Good luck doing it, first of all. But like, don't try to get me pregnant. If you're gonna get down, let's get down. Let's go hard. Let's earn our money. Let's get the fans a show. Let's make Bellator realize the reason why they're paying me what they're paying me. Let's go get this thing done.
Congratulations, my friend. Very happy for you. Thank you for coming on this show and doing this. And I look forward to now watching you make a run at the Bellator Gold. And I think, to be fair, it was probably good to hold off on the minute for this particular interview. But this is great. Thank you so much, Matt. Very happy for you and your family. And again, thank you for coming on the show and announcing it.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for always giving me a platform. Appreciate it.
Much love. There he is, Matt Mitrione, the newest member of the Bellator heavyweight roster, coming on this program and announcing that he has signed a 4-fight deal with Bellator MMA. Congratulations to our old pal, Matt Mitrione.